In this video, we're going to go through Learning Target 2.2.3, which is talking about graphing linear functions. So we have two kind of types of graphing linear functions. One is in slope-intercept form, which is this one on the left, and one is not in slope-intercept form, so anything that looks different than y equals mx plus b. So if we're given y equals mx plus b, we just use those pieces and what they mean to help us. So our 5 is our b, and our negative 2/3 is our m. So for these, we like to say we begin with b, and so b is our y-intercept. So positive 5 goes on the y-axis. So I'm going to put a dot at positive 5, begin with b. And then we move with m, and m tells us our rise over our run. So if you get confused, I like to write it like this. If there's a negative sign out in front of a fraction, you can either move it to the top or the bottom, but not both. I usually move it to the top. And then I like to write rise over run right next to it so that I can like visually see which one is the rise and which one is the run. My rise then is negative 2, which means I'm going down 2, so I go down 2 spaces. And then I'm running positive 3, which is to the right, 1, 2, 3, and I put a new dot. I'm going to do it one more time, so down 2, over to the right, 3. And then I can connect my dots. I'm going to have a line that looks something like this. When you do these ones, be sure you use some sort of a straight edge, like a ruler or the side of a book, so your line looks straight. So now let's look at the other type. So this is not set up like y equals mx plus b, so I can't use this little begin with b and move with m trick. So for this one, I can use the fact that I can very easily find my x and my y intercepts to be able to graph this line. So I know that all of my x-intercepts, the y value is 0. So I can plug in 0 for y. So x-intercepts, we know that y is 0. That's the definition of an x-intercept. It's a number, comma 0. So if I know that y has to be 0, I can use that to my advantage. So I have 4x minus 8 times 0 equals 12. And then I can simplify pretty quickly. So 8 times 0 gives me nothing. So I have 4x equals 12. And I divide by 4 to give me x equals 3. Well, this is my x-intercept, x equals 3, so I'm going to put that on the x-axis. Then I do kind of a similar math to find my y-intercept, but this time for my y-intercept, I know that those are 0, my x value is 0, and then my y value is a number. So this time I'm going to plug in 0 for x. So I'm going to have 4 times 0 minus 8y equals 12. Well, 4 times 0 cancels. I divide by negative 8. And I get y equals negative 1.5. This is my y-intercept, so I'm going to go to negative 1.5, so right between 1 and 2. And that is my y-intercept. So now I want to use a ruler, especially for these ones, because I can only draw 2 dots, so I have to be as accurate as possible. And so we want to use some sort of a straight edge, draw our line, but it should look something like this. And that is both types of graphing.